Thanks for listening to 91.5 WBEZ. It's 8:33. It's Morning Edition. I'm Mary Dixon, but we're going to do something a little different here for a little bit yet. I'm here with WBEZ data editor and Sun-Times columnist Alden Lowry, and we want to hear from you, Chicago, about what you think after last night's presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. What stood out to you? Did it change your mind? Reaffirm your choice? Did Harris do a good job of introducing herself to undecided voters? In this election year, when one of the candidates is a convicted felon and stands accused of trying to illegally hold power in the White House, do you think it's even a good idea to hold a debate like this is a normal race or something? Again, we've been hearing from experts and pundits and politicians all morning now. It's our time to hear directly from you. So give us a call now at 866-915-9239 to share your thoughts. And Alden Lowry, what are your thoughts on the big picture after watching last night?
It was wildly entertaining. That is a certainty. Certainly Harris's, I think, performance. You talked about introducing herself to voters. I think she might have put to bed some feelings that maybe she wasn't a strong enough leader, a strong enough personality. If she can stand up to Donald Trump, then perhaps she can certainly stand up to Vladimir Putin and others. The big question, though, is that the debate is great. It's great to win a debate and to perform well in a debate, but does that translate into people having enough confidence in you and the issues that really matter to them to still vote? And so I'm very curious to see what the polls are going to show in the aftermath of this. I think she's certainly going to get the same kind of momentum bump that she got coming off the DNC. We'll see. She's already leading in the race for money. She's probably going to get a boost in that, and that could certainly lead to a benefit for her in terms of just campaign strategy down the road. But on very key issues, particularly the economy and immigration, did she say enough to give people the sense that she's going to be a better candidate on those issues than Trump will be, aside from all of the antics that comes along with Trump? I think there's still a lot of people out there who feel that he's stronger on the economy and stronger on immigration. And if voters even coming away from this debate say that Trump performed poorly, but I still feel better about him handling those issues, he's likely to still maintain a fair amount of support among those voters. And this race might still be a very close one.
Okay, well, that's Alden's big picture look at it. Thanks. And now let's talk to you, the listener. We're taking your calls at 866-915-9239. And we've got Chandler from Pilsen on the line. Good morning, Chandler. What did you think?
Hi, good morning. I thought, I agree, there definitely was an entertainment factor. I think Kamala did great. I think, she was sure to put it in the forefront that there's a candidate who's fighting for democracy and there's a candidate who's fighting for immunity. I think she poked the bear just right on everything with Trump. He really took the bait. We even got to hear about alleged Haitian immigrants in Ohio eating cats. So I think to watch that derailment, it was very strong. I think her presence was very strong. She was very calm. And there are some answers I wish, I had. She pulled a lot of politician moves. But given that we're working with, half of the timeline for just campaigning, I'm still confident that we'll get those answers and we'll get that plan. And I understand the value of her trying to maintain a united front as, she's running for president and also currently serving as vice president. So It really reaffirmed my choice. Yeah. But
so it reaffirmed your choice, Chandler. And you referred to the unfounded, disproven rumor that's been going around in white supremacist channels about immigrants eating pets. And we have Donald Trump talking about that.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
And again, the moderators on the ABC presidential debate debunked that. They pointed out that this has been proven to not be true. It was a bit surprising to hear it stated so boldly during the debate by a candidate for president of the United States. That was interesting, Alden.
Very. That was just one of a number of wild accusations and claims that the former president lobbied last night, and I think it's just kind of become par for the course. I can remember back in his first campaign, there was a comic showing someone reading a paper, and the headline said, "Trump bites the head off a chicken," and his poll numbers go up. So it's like no matter what he says or what he does, there's still seems to be strong support for him.
We are taking your calls, getting your thoughts. Did you watch it last night? Did you skip it last night? Is there a good reason for that? 866-915-9239 here on 91.5 WBEZ. We hear from all sorts of people on all sorts of things, and we will throughout this election season. It's a really important presidential election. We are right next door to Wisconsin and Michigan, which are some of the key swing states in this contest. And, I haven't talked to you guys in ages. I haven't heard from you, and I'd like to hear from you. So 866-915-9239. Were there any other bits in the debate that stood out to you, Alden?
From the very beginning, Vice President Harris really jumped out and made, I think, very clear 3 particular kind of economic programs or goals that she has, very clear directives on what those things are. Now, they came in response to a question about the inflation, which she didn't directly address, but she did give people at least a sense of what kind of economic policy she would be supportive of.
We also talked about, it took 45 minutes to get to January 6th and the insurrection, but that was an extremely lively exchange between the 2 candidates and the moderators. We have Angela from Aurora on the line. And Angela, what did you think?
Hi, thank you. I always love your program. So I hope I could hear Vice President Harris the detailed plan, how to deal with current situation like high inflation and the crime. And we are from Chicago area, and then the crime is really drag our leg besides the food price, everything. So, and then she's thinking, want to, cut the small business, the tax.
Mm-hmm, the small business tax. So as she was calling Donald Trump's proposed tariffs on China. So, so you were hoping for a little more detail there. Is that correct?
No, my question is that she want to give the child care, money, and then want to cut small business tax. But I'm financial background. All these kind of things need the money support. Right now, the United States government bankruptcy. We have to pay 70% of our whole United States income to pay only the interest. That means 30% we can maintain the operation in the whole United States. Where's the money come from?
Okay, thanks for that call, Angela. Appreciate you weighing in on there. Lester in Inglewood couldn't stay on the line, but says he felt after watching it, Trump has been trumped. Thanks for that comment, Lester. Nancy is in Winnetka, and Nancy, what did you take away from last night's debate?
Good morning. It really just already validated my vote. And my bigger concern is just that we are voting on somebody who is in charge of our country, our free world. And there was no fact-checking. I don't think there was enough fact-checking. Trump, glossed over the whole Project 2025, and nobody called him out on the forward being written by J.D. Vance. And to me, it just says, did he do his homework? Did he carefully vet J.D. Vance, even if he's not associated supposedly with Project 2025? There was also things like that where he sounded unhinged. He sounded paranoid as far as the whole cats thing. He's spreading lies and disinformation. Again, is he fact-checking? Is he carefully monitoring what he's putting on his Twitter? He's in charge of the red button, the nuclear button, and that's terrifying if somebody's going to react that quickly, not pause, not think, not really use discerning, qualities that I look for in somebody who is a true leader. And
okay, so thanks for that, Nancy. So what you're saying is it really reaffirmed your decision to vote for Harris, correct?
Yes. Correct.
And from the sound of it, some of Trump's campaign folks were a little annoyed with how much fact-checking there was. For example, the ABC moderators pointed out that the thing about eating pets was not true and incorrect, and the Trump campaign folks were upset about that. Let's go to another caller. Sorry about that. We have Marta in Bucktown. Good morning, Marta.
Good morning. Yeah, echoing some of the comments before, I was excited to see more from Kamala Harris. I felt like I didn't know too much about her campaign, and I think she looked extremely composed and eloquent and held it together while Trump kind of lost it a little bit. So it definitely reaffirmed my choice as well. I was also following along with the fact checking, and most things Harris was fact checked on were, at least mostly true, perhaps a little bit off, but many things Trump was saying were just complete and utter lies. So it made me more excited to vote. I wasn't old enough to vote in 2016, so I'm excited to go out and get to vote for a woman as well.
Did you vote in 2020, Marta?
I did vote in 2020.
Okay, so excited for the second time around.
Yes.
Okay, so why don't we hear from what Vice President Harris had to say about Trump when he was talking about how certain world leaders, for example, Viktor Orban, he kept bringing up Viktor Orban. Here was what Vice President Harris had to say to that.
World leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact.
So we want to know what you think. The WBEZ listener, I'm here with Alden Lowry, our data editor and Sun-Times columnist, and we really just want to talk to you. Give us a call, 866-915-9239. Just a little something different, just a little coffee talk with you this morning. We will be back in just a moment on 91.5 WBEZ. 846, this is 91.5 WBEZ. We want to hear from you just for a little bit, little chat about last night's presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. The number to call is 866-915-9239. Our data editor and Sun-Times columnist Alden Lowry is with us.
Yes, and we've heard from a number of callers thus far, many who've talked about what they heard and they liked from Vice President Harris. We're interested in hearing from callers who also might have been very pleased and positive about what they heard from former President Trump. Give us a call at 866-915-9239.
And we want to hear from you before 9 o'clock. Ray is on the line from River North. Ray, what did you come away with after last night? Ray,
well, I had tuned in originally, and not so much for the content, which was as expected, but for the theater, and there certainly wasn't any shortage of that. I think the vice president did a good job of articulating her platforms, and was very presidential, as she always has been and would be. I think the thing that bothers me the most is that afterwards, listening to some of the focus groups about these undecided voters saying that she hasn't done this and she hasn't done that, she is the vice president. She is not the president. And so I think people are a little short-sighted in thinking about how she might move forward. You know, she has been the vice president. She'll set a new path.
Okay, thanks for that insight, Ray. And Mary from Irving Park is on the line. Mary, what did you see last night? And I might suggest you turn down your radio. Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So you watched last night. What did you think?
Well, I felt like Kamala Harris had a few. She seems tricky to me. She just seems manipulative to me. She uses these kind of like mean girl tactics where she just laughs every time Trump talks. And I didn't feel like she was extraordinarily trustworthy. And I think one of the things that speaks to the country about Trump is when someone is so willing to say unpopular things. I think people see strength in that.
Okay,
and
so
I don't feel that Kamala Harris she seems to be changing a lot of her policies for the purposes of the election. And I don't know, to me it feels a lot like the same old machine of just saying what they want to hear. I feel like I don't know. I didn't buy it.
Okay, Mary's not buying it in Irving Park. Thanks for your thoughts on that. We want to hear what you have to say. 866-915-9239. Did you watch last night's debate? Did you say, no, I can't do that again to myself? We want to hear from you. Jerry in Evanston is on the phone. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning. I wish that someone had explained to Trump how tariffs actually work. He has it completely upside down. We don't collect taxes from countries when we put a tariff on. When a tariff goes on a good coming into the country, the importer pays that tariff, pays that tax, and then it gets moved on down to the consumer. So, in fact, it is a tax on the people of the United States. It is a tax on consumers. We're not going to collect any money from China. The idea is that if imported goods are more expensive, then maybe people will buy goods made in America. Trump has it completely backwards, and people need to call him out on it.
I think it has been explained to him and to others many times, but Trump does insist on saying that we're going to get that money from China. I don't think that's the case, is it, Alden?
No, we weren't. That was one area where I don't think we were able to get enough clarity from the moderators in terms of kind of pushing back. And the moderators pitched in a couple of times, and this is one of the challenges in a Trump debate, is that there are a number of things that he says more so than his opponents that require some pushback. And if you're pushing back every time, it can really slow things down. So I think there were a number of moments last night where the moderators just pushed on when there probably was something that needed to be had
right
to give people some clarity.
Right. Another call, this one from Kyle in Bucktown. Good morning, Kyle.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. Wondering how you're doing and what you're thinking about last night's debate.
Yeah, so I watched the debate last night with my wife, and we're Democrats. We traditionally vote for Democrats, but regardless, we were just watching the debate, and it was just really jarring to see how much, honestly, Kamala just wiped the floor with Trump in terms of being able to stay on task, being able to say things that were factually correct. So it's surprising to me when I hear people talking about, hey, I need more, detail on Harris's policy, or I need, X or Y from Harris, when I just feel like it's really uneven in the amount of coverage and the amount of expectations that people have. I think it's something that's almost, you look at, Kamala Harris being a woman of color and Donald Trump being, a man of the majority and rich, and the expectations for them are completely different. For Democrats, it always seems like, hey, how are you going to do this? Not, is this a good idea? Versus you have someone who's talking about, multiple times during the debate, things are just completely factually untrue. Eating cats, people coming to your house to do these things that, in transgender immigrant surgeries. Like, what is he talking about? There's multiple times I just looked at my wife and said, this doesn't make sense. The basis in which we judge these two candidates, I think, is just completely different and unfair. And it was just, hearing a little bit of what people were saying earlier just confounds me a bit, and seeing the coverage online. So I just wish that, coverage would be a little more factual and a little more even in terms of, just policy and or just treating the person as a person, saying, hey, can this person speak in front of a room? It doesn't seem like Donald Trump really can. So
right. And Kyle, did your wife feel the same, or did she have some different perspectives?
Her head was in her hands for most of it. I mean, it was rough. It was just, it felt a little bit like, we're one of the things that we commented on was that the commercials felt a little inappropriate. It feels like we're trying to, make it more of a spectacle than the harsh reality and the truth that it really represents, that, hey, this is our lives, and we're kind of, we give people points here and there, but I think the ABC moderators did a decent enough job. They pushed back on Trump enough, but what I would really like is for us to be able to sit down and talk about these issues in a lot more depth, let's have, a town hall that lasts 2 hours. Like, people don't tune in, that's fine, but I would love to hear both candidates go into depth, be taken to task, and say, hey, you need to talk about this more.
Okay.
I just don't feel like we have the opportunity to do that in today's day and age. It really feels like more of a spectacle.
Okay, thanks for that, Kyle. We're taking your calls. We have time for a few more. The number is 866-915-9239. Sunny in Chinatown is on the line. Good morning, Sunny.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Okay, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on. Professionally, part of my job is to help start after-school debate teams in Chicago public schools. And so it was really interesting to see the different strategies that were used by both of the debaters today. You could tell that Kamala Harris came in with a lot of rehearsed tactics and really thought about how she wanted to address Trump's dog whistles and what would hit with her audience, which is a phrase we heard often, which is we're ready to turn the page, rather than what Biden's strategy was, which is to tackle head on and phrase Trump as a threat to democracy, which probably got him made him sound less convincing to certain audiences. Likewise, you recently just had another caller say that they found Trump to sound more genuine because he's willing to say things that are more off the cuff. And I think these are two different rhetorical tactics that appeal to two different people. And I think Kamala also, we saw her take calculated jabs, and occasionally that would put Trump on the back foot as he would go and chase down some of those comments and look for a follow-up. And ultimately that kind of strategy leads to digging, where you're trying to dig yourself out and when you're behind.
So, Sunny,
I always tell our children.
Yeah, Sunny, I was going to say, how old are your students? And are you going to talk about the debate with them?
From 5th grade through 12th grade throughout Chicagoland. And like I tell our kids, I don't think we've seen a genuine debate on TV in a very long time. And the level of debate that's coming out from our children has a lot more clash in detail and genuineness than I think what we get from politicians, to be honest.
Well, please talk to them about running for president one of these days, will you? Sunny in Chinatown, thank you so much for sort of that busman's holiday view of the debate and how they approached it. That was really interesting. Thank you so much. This is 91.5 WBEZ. 866-915-9239 is the number. I think we have time for one or two more calls if you want to squeak in there. I haven't talked with you guys for a while, not, one-on-one, and just wanted to hear from you. It's a big season. Summer is starting to wane. It's the fall election season in Chicago, and we just want to know what you think. Carter on the South Side is on the line. Good morning, Carter.
Hi. Yeah, I think that one of the most noteworthy things about last night is that Kamala Harris reaffirmed that she is very honored to receive the support of Dick Cheney. Just about 2 decades ago, most Democrats referred to Dick Cheney as basically Hitler, and now they are welcoming his support. That is, I think, a very significant development that people should be paying attention to.
That's one I don't recall hearing, and I was around then. I mean, they called Dick Cheney a lot of things. I don't remember the Hitler thing, but it sounds like you were happy with how Trump performed.
No, I'm not actually happy with either of them. I have contempt for both parties because they both support genocide and they both support war crimes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Carter, for calling. Carter on the South Side here on 91.5 WBEZ. It's 8:58 on this Wednesday morning. It's September 11th, the 23rd anniversary of the al-Qaeda attacks on New York and Chicago. Alden, any thoughts as we start to wrap it up here?
Interesting just to take that we're hearing from people. Mary from Irving Park, I think, encapsulates why some people, she talked about strength, why some people are endeared to Trump despite all of the wild and incredible things that he says. And then others who wanted to look beyond the fact that we didn't hear very minute details from Harris and thought that maybe we were asking too much. But the other comment about a kind of a town hall format, I think, is something that actually would be very illuminating and helpful for voters, particularly those in the middle who are really looking for some more information before they make a phone call.
If you could manage it, if you could get people to agree to it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, coming up on 8:59 here on 91.5 WBEZ. Want to say thank you for sharing your thoughts about last night's presidential debate with us, Chicago. I want you to stay with 91.5 WBEZ, Chicago's NPR news station, as we ride into this election season with fact-based news, context, and analysis for you. And I hope someday soon we'll get to do this again. Thanks to our co-host, Alden Lowry, WBEZ data editor and Sun-Times columnist. Thanks to our producer, Ariel Van Cleve, our editor, Katie O'Connell, our engineer, Haley Bloomquist. Thanks for an assist from our government and politics senior editor, Angela Rosa O'Toole, as well as Reset with Sasha Ann Simons for lending us the expertise of Dan Tucker, Linnea Dominique, and Micah Yasson. The news from NPR is coming up next, followed by the BBC NewsHour. This is 91.5 WBEZ Chicago, WBEK Kankakee, WBEQ Morris. Coming up on 9 o'clock.